Distance and Reclassify tutorial based on line data. Again, as long as your polygons are raster data, which they should be, you can use this technique for point, line, and polygon data. So remember that. I just want to go through an example of line data so you can see what the Euclidean Distance and Reclassify tool look like as a final product while you're going through your own suitability analysis. So for this example, I just want to use Euclidean Distance and Reclassify on the railroads. So here's the railroads. I did change the symbology. Again, if you want to do that at any point, just click, and I just selected the first default railroad because it was purple and it was clashing and blending in a little bit with the trail. So I went ahead and did that. So again, feel free to change symbology. That's how you go about it for that. So again, for the example, let's look at the railroads layer. Again, we want to go back into our model. Make sure you guys save periodically. Again, this model builder tab will show up. I have already ran Euclidean Distance and Reclassify on it, so I will just walk you through it. Again, so you'll want to add that railroad layer from your map into our working model space. And then we again want to search for Euclidean distance and drag that in there as well. This one gets a little messy from time to time because of how extensive this tool is, but we can play around with it and get it to where we want it. So again, you will open this and you will input your data like so. So again, our input is going to be found underneath our model variables. You will find that railroad layer. You will create an output distance raster. Again, just an organizational tool for what you want to call that layer so you can keep it organized and things like that. Keep everything else default and we'll press OK. Again, we'll right click and we'll run, and then this will pop up green saying that we've successfully run the tool with our railroads layer, and then we can right click and add to display. So once we go back to our display, we'll get something like this. Again, closer is going to be those black values, and further away is going to get into those grays and whites. So we can click on our existing symbology and change it. Right now it's a stretch, so what that means is it's going to create a gradient along the map, but you can classify. So you can create natural breaks, defined intervals, things like that. So you can go in and actually change these as we would using the Reclassify tool. So that's just another way to do that. So we can change the color scheme, give it a different look, make it more presentable and things like that. So I'll turn this off. We go back into our model and we're going to search again for the Reclassify tool, and we'll drag that into our model, which is right here, the one that I've already ran. So we will click and define our input raster as before under our model variables, and then we will reclassify based on value, which in our case is feet, or miles that we have to convert to feet. So in this case, close to railroads is, not suitable because we rank, anywhere from 0 0 to half a mile is ranked a 1, unsuitable for us, all the way up to I think 5 miles to the extent of our input data is a 5. And then again, we will just rename our output layer to something that makes sense to us and something that we can find later on. So we will input all of this data. Again, you want to end and then start with the same value, because if you don't, you're going to have gaps in your data where it will essentially be invalid or have no data associated with it. And never change this end value ever. Just leave it the way it is. If you change this anywhere from like 5 miles to 10 miles, so you would change this to the equivalent of 10 miles in feet, it will disregard everything from 10 miles and beyond as anything. So again, just depends on what your goals are, but ultimately you will want to leave that maximum value. So you will press OK, and then you will right click and run, and then this will pop up green, and then you'll add to display. So then we'll go back to our map, and we will find our reclassified values. So again, this is just what running the Reclassify Euclidean Distance and Reclassify tool will look like on line data. So essentially, it's the exact same process as running a point feature analysis, but it's obviously going to look different because it's not a point, it's a line. So again, you can play with these values if you don't like how it's looking. If you want it more refined, you can again go in here and change your data tables to whatever works for your parameters and your goals. So you can see 5 and 4, there's, especially right in this area and this area, there's a lot of room to work with. Whereas if we get over here towards the east side of the state, we are running into a lot of railroad interactions throughout the trail. So just be conscious of what your end goals are and whether, being close to a railroad is suitable to your goal or not, and go from there and run these tests. So I'll see you guys next time with a different video. So thanks so much.